Hello and welcome to today's episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute delight to be joined by the fabulous Kelvin Abrams. Kelvin, welcome.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good, thank you. And we're so looking forward to this conversation. And as we just proved backstage, we could get stuck into a conversation quite quickly. So,
yes.
So before we do, let me share a little bit more about you with the audience. So Kelvin is a serial entrepreneur with 17 years experience as a business owner. His book is called Get Uncomfortable or Change Course, Understanding What It Takes to Be an Entrepreneur. With hard work, tenacity, strength and heart, and by overcoming significant obstacles in his health and finances, Kelvin has created businesses that not only generate revenue, but create community. In the spirit of his mantra, learn, earn, return, Kelvin inspires and teaches new and aspiring entrepreneurs to be more successful and to achieve their dreams. I mean, wow, Kelvin, there's just so much in there. I've got so many questions, but before I get started, could you bring that sort of journey to life for us a little bit, please?
Well, yeah, sure. I like to say that I started being an entrepreneur when I was a little kid. We used to sell candy and soda at school. I used to sell toys out of my bedroom window to my friends. We'd walk to the corner store and buy a bag of candy for like $1.50 at that point. And we would sell it. So, I started my entrepreneurial career very young, I would say. And then from there, selling newspapers and things like that. But my official business didn't start until 2008. And that's when I opened up Tiki's Playhouse, my very first business. And then from there, it just grew. From there, it was the first doggy ice cream truck in Maryland. I sold that. Then it was K9 and Coffee. And then I have a gym called American Fitness Express. And then I wrote a book. So it's been a long time coming.
I love that. And I love that you're so honest about the fact that these things don't come overnight, because I think sometimes that's what we see in the world, isn't it? It's like this seemingly like click your fingers and it's all there. And for those of us that have built the businesses up, that's not what it's like.
No,
but it doesn't necessarily manifest the way that you would like it to. And I love the title of your book, Get Uncomfortable or Change Course, because one of the things that I've always thought as a leader and as an entrepreneur is one of the best skills that you can learn is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, because people are messy, emotional human beings, and the world doesn't run the course you expect it to.
No,
so until you can learn to be comfortable with uncomfortable, you're always going to be held back. But can you explain to me what it means to you and why it's so critical for entrepreneurs and leaders?
Absolutely. Get Uncomfortable or Change Course is something that I basically have lived through my entire life. Is a lot of uncomfortable situations you come out of. And that has happened to me, and it still continues to happen to me. So the thing is you have to stay the course and have tenacity and believe in yourself in order to grow. And, what, like they say, is failure equals success. Failure equals growth. And so I knew I was going to write a book when I was about 18 years of age. I just didn't know what the book was going to be about. And then during the pandemic, when everyone was stressing out, I too was stressing out. It just clicked, and I said, "That's the book." And so I came up with the title, Get Uncomfortable or Change Course. And also it came about through several clients of mine with Tiki's Playhouse that were regular clients of mine that were multimillionaires that had several businesses. And both of them said to me, every 3 years, you should be in a position where you reinvent yourself. That way you don't get comfortable. And so I took that, and I took, my tough road, my tough journey. I took that and I mixed them all together and came up with Get Uncomfortable or Change Course. Just because of the fact that most people, like you just mentioned, most people think success happens overnight, but it doesn't. And, success takes years to happen. And not only that, success is ugly. To be honest with you, success is ugly. I mean, you have good days, you have bad days. You have to work through surgeries. I've had many surgeries in the last 6 years, and you have to work through them. In fact, I'm recovering from a hernia surgery from last week, and I'm working. That day I come back from the hospital and I'm working in my bar that night. So I like to say that, I am self-employed, but I'm really not. I work for my employees. And that
Yeah.
bottom line is people depend on me to give them a paycheck. My landlord depends on me to pay him. And so, again, I like to say, sure, I'm self-employed, but I actually work for my employees.
Oh, I love that, because it's so true, isn't it? When you've got people that work for you, you carry with that huge responsibility to not only think about if what you're doing is going to be right for you and for your life and for your needs, but actually you carry the weight of burden of their life and their needs. And
yes,
and I think that's something there's nobody tells you this on the way in, do they?
They sure don't. They tell you it's going to be hard, but they don't tell you that it's going to be hard on a different level. So it's hard on many levels.
That's so true. And I lots of the people that I work with are entrepreneurs, and you go into working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, because you've got an idea that you think is going to be of value to the people that you want to serve, and then you get there on day one, don't you? And all of a sudden you realize, oh look, I'm IT and I'm HR and I'm marketing.
Right. You're the janitor. You clean the windows. You take the trash out. Yeah.
How did that happen? Where did that all come from? And it can be overwhelming, can't it? To kind of work through those elements. And you've owned multiple businesses, so you've taken that learning of like being in that spot of, oh my God, it's just me, to then growing those to those spaces where I can now delegate this to somebody else, or I can now move those parts forward. What would be the piece of advice you'd give anybody that is at the stage where they're ready to start thinking about delegating some of that, bringing on a team? Because that's can often be another scary step on the entrepreneurial journey, can't it?
Absolutely. Boy, let me tell you, I've had several people, employees, several people that I thought were my friends, mentors, whatever you want to call them. But in fact, I was just talking about this yesterday, is that as an entrepreneur, you always have to trust people that you bring into your circle, even though they continue to let you down. You still have to open up your circle and bring more people in your circle and just believe and trust that they're going to do what you ask them to do. And one of the reasons why I think I'm in a good position right now, a good space right now, is I have a great team behind me. Starting number one with Charlotte Zhang. She's my publicist, and that's who puts me in contact with all my podcast interviews. And also she promotes my book. So, it starts with a great publicist, and Charlotte is wonderful. And then it starts with a mentor. I have a mentor, Uncle Willie, I call him. He's not biologically my uncle, but I call him Uncle Willie. Everybody calls him Uncle Willie. And he's a self-made man. He basically walked in my shoes to the point where he almost filed bankruptcy years ago, 2 kids, a wife, and he almost filed bankruptcy. And then lo and behold, an opportunity came to him, and he sold his company to 3M. And so from that point on, bang, he became a millionaire. And so I tell people to get a mentor. It's important to get a mentor, but that mentor has to have walked in your shoes. You can't get someone like a family or a friend, or they're going to tell you what you want to hear. You have to get someone who's going to tell you what you don't want to hear. They're going to tell you the hard, brutal, honest truth. And then you need a really good, strong CPA. And I have the best CPA in Maryland, in my opinion. And you really need someone to take care of those numbers for you and to guide you and protect you, because getting in trouble with the IRS or your state government is no fun. So it's all about team.
I love that, Kelvin. And you're right. We need the right team around us, and we need to be comfortable with the numbers. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that, where when you first go in, I remember one person, and I was like, oh, can you show me your, this might be an Englishism, so I don't know if you have KPIs in America, because they looked at me like I was talking Swahili. But I was like, okay, so what information do you get daily or weekly to be able to run your business? Well, yeah, no, I don't like the numbers. I was like, oh, they were hugely successful, multi-millionaire. But I'm like, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't know what they were. And some of that is, how do we find the right team so that the people can come to you with the information that you need? Because whilst the problems show up in the numbers. The challenges that you're facing, the areas of concern are in the numbers. They always manifest in the people, don't they? It always comes down to misunderstanding or miscommunication or misalignment, where your fix is over here, but you need to know both sides of that coin. So how do you encourage people who are going to embark on this journey or on this journey and moving down it to know how to create the right team? Because as you say, you've got to put that trust in. You've got to keep opening the circle, even if you've been let down, even if you've let somebody in and they didn't do it. But are there any things that you've learned that help you to better judge in that first interaction the likelihood that trust is to be reciprocated?
Absolutely. And I think the best way to find a good team and put a good team around you is make sure that they're all entrepreneurs. So Charlotte Zhang, she's an entrepreneur. She's a publicist. She's a writer. She's an entrepreneur. Uncle Willie, he's my mentor. He's an entrepreneur. My CPA, she owns her own. She has over 400 clients. She's an entrepreneur. My business lawyer, entrepreneur. So, in my opinion, I mean, this doesn't have to be true for everyone, but in my opinion, I think the best people to make a good team out of are people that are entrepreneurs. Why? Because they live the way you live. They think the way you think. They should work the way you work. And they have the same stress that you have. So you guys have something in common. So all of us have something in common. And what I do is I lean on my team and I ask my team for advice. I talk to my CPA, I talk to Charlotte, I talk to Uncle Willie, you name it. And I just ask people what their advice is. And it's like a little honeybee. So I have a little nest that I can go to. So I go to this flower, that flower, this flower, and then I bring it back together and I make my honey.
I love that. Sorry, I'm only smiling because one of the things that I talk about quite a lot is the need for people to get their thrive hive. So the people around them that are going to help them to thrive. So it made me smile that you're like looking at that in a similar analogy on that honey piece. It says actually, being an entrepreneur can be lonely, and we all know that if we spend too much time in our head, we can, we might not get the best answers and the best outcome. We have to be able to go external, don't we? To get that perspective, I guess.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. And I'm so happy you brought that up. The hardest part is the loneliness. That is the hardest part. I tell you, there are days when I sit here at night and, you're depressed because you're alone. You're depressed because no one understands you. You're depressed because your family and friends, they want to support you and they try to support you in their own way, but it's not the support you need. Man, I tell you, that's the hardest part. No one told me about the loneliness. I mean, it is so lonely. And there's a poem by Robert Frost. And there's a little section of this poem that says, I have miles to go before I sleep. And so I have that on my wall. And a lot of times when I get lonely or I get depressed, I look at that and I just say to myself, I have miles to go before I sleep. And that just energizes me to let me know that I'm on this journey and I'm not going to stop until I get to the end of this journey. And then, I read books, and there's a great author, David Goggins, great guy. And he's a very good motivational speaker. And I read his book because his book is brutally honest, brutally telling the truth. And he tells you his story. And it just energizes me. And he has this phrase that he calls taking souls. And taking souls, in my mind, means that I'm going to run over you. I'm going to run through you. And I'm going to get to where I need to get to. And I'm going to take your soul on the way. And you're not going to stop me. And that's what brings me through my depression. That's what brings me through the loneliness. Is in my mind, I'm strong. And in my mind, when I need to recharge, I go to David Goggins. I read his book. I look at the Robert Frost quote on my wall, and I listen to podcasts. I listen to audiobooks that are motivational books. So things like that. So when you're down, you got to know how to bring yourself up.
That's it's so true. It's having those ways where that actually here's how I can refill my cup, because we all know we can't pour from an empty cup. And it's it's finding those those bits that are going to inspire you. For me, I always look at who am I doing it for,
right?
And if I said I can't do this, actually what I need to say is it's not important enough for me to try, and that doesn't sit nicely. It hits harder when instead of you saying I can't do it, you go, I'm not willing to try, because that keeps you in there. And I kind of look and go, that look who's watching. I've got a little girl who's nearly 9, and I'm conscious that everything I do and where she's watching everything. She's watching. So
she's learning from you. She's learning from you.
So you have to try and find that. Yeah, how do I recharge? And one of the big lessons I learned my entrepreneurial journey, which I started my business in 2008 as well, is the need for prioritizing self-care. The need to be able to put something in your calendar and not feel guilty about it, that says this is recharging me so that I can continue to serve. And what's the greatest lesson you've learned in your journey?
You just said it. You just said it. You nailed it. It wasn't until maybe about a year and a half ago that I actually realized that I wasn't taking care of myself. And my therapist at that time was the person who helped me realize that I wasn't taking care of myself. So about a year and a half ago, I started getting weekly massages. So Monday's my days off. So every Monday I schedule a massage, and that's my self-care, because I get to sit there, I feel good, I get to fall asleep. And then I also, and you may laugh at me, but I also once a month get a pedicure. Because you women, let me tell you, you guys know about pedicures, and boy, let me tell you, does it feel good. And so what I do is once a month, I also incorporate a pedicure. And that's my self-care that makes me feel good. I own a gym, and unfortunately, I don't work out as much as I used to. And I just have to get that into my schedule. But it's just a little difficult at times. And a lot of times I'm just tired and exhausted. And that's why I like to go get a massage and fall asleep and, just enjoy it. So self-care is the biggest thing that an entrepreneur needs to schedule, needs to put into their calendar regularly, because that also will help you recharge your battery and or give you the strength, the energy, or the motivation to continue.
Oh, I love that. And I agree. Pedicures are brilliant.
Oh, man. I wish I knew about pedicures years ago.
Epic. It's almost like that balance also of getting that like reflexology and that while they're massaging your feet.
And the massage when they rub your feet. Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah, it feels, I don't know for you, for me, it always feels like so decadent, like you can't go anywhere.
Right.
So all of those times where you go, oh yeah, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, I could be doing something else, you can't. So for me, it's forcing me to also have thinking time. Because when I'm sat there and I'm just relaxed, it's often when the best ideas come.
Oh, you said it. I mean, I call it in my book, I label it the boardroom. Uncle Willie and I came up with that phrase called the boardroom. So whenever I need to recharge, whenever I need to just sit and think, I sit with a glass of bourbon, and I'm a cigar smoker, so I like cigars. So I'll sit out there with a glass of bourbon with my cigar. Sometimes I'm listening to an audiobook. Other times I'm just sitting there and thinking. And going to the boardroom is very, very, very important for an entrepreneur. And I'm a very creative person. So when I sit in the boardroom and I sit and have a cigar, I solve my problems. I sit and think, and it forces me for about 45 minutes. It forces me to sit, relax, decompress, and think about the process and what I need to get done. And I usually try to do that every day, a cigar. I know it's a bad habit, but I try to do it every day, and just sit and think. And that's important. You hit it right on the head, is you have to take time to sit, decompress, and evaluate. So every day I'm reevaluating my decisions every day. Every day is a new day. Every day there's something else that changes from the other day. So it's very important to go to the boardroom.
I love that. One of the things I do at the end of my day, before I allow it to be the end of my working day, is I'll just do a few minutes reflection on, what have I learned today? What's gone well? What could have gone differently? And therefore, what's tomorrow's top 3 priorities that have to be done for it to be a success? Whereas I used to have like 300. Now it's like, what 3 are actually going to make a difference? And I do them first before I allow anybody else in my calendar, before I allow anybody else in my day, because it allows me then to, 1, tick off the box, today's been a success, but 2, be genuinely present for everybody else, because I haven't got that little mental checklist going, Kimmy's supposed to be doing this, Kimmy's supposed to be doing this, to kind of pull me, because we have to do that, don't we? Have to take that that reflection. And I love that you called out the need to decompress, because we've all sat there with a problem, haven't we? And we've gone, I'm not leaving this table until I've solved it. I mean, you don't solve it that way.
You don't solve it. You put a Band-Aid on it temporarily, is what I like to say. You put a Band-Aid on it and move on, because my priority list is so long that everything's a priority. And so now I'm on priority. And you pick the first 5, or in my case, maybe the first 10 that are priority. And you kind of just work through them and as best as you can. And, I have help, but sometimes the help that I have can't take care of the priorities, just because it's up here. It's up here, and I have to get it out of here and do the priority list. But, an employee or someone can help you, because most of the times it's here. I know the numbers. I know this. I know what I need. It's here. And by the time I write it down or give or delegate to somebody, it takes too much time. And so therefore, unfortunately, I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I'm the only one that knows what I need to get done and the priority. And unfortunately, that creates a lot of pressure and a lot of stress.
Yeah. It does, and it is hard, isn't it? Because when you've got a team that want to help you, but actually what you've not given yourself is time to get it out of your head,
right?
Then actually you're holding them back, and therefore they can't help. That can be so frustrating for your team as well, can't it? Because they see that. So I think that's another reason why it's so important. And I was also taught a long time ago, there is I think they call it positive procrastination. So when you are stuck with a problem or a question that you just can't solve, and we can all fall foul of I'm going to sit here and work on it, which we've established doesn't work. They suggest that what you do is write it down on in a book, write it down as a question. So whatever it is, write it down as a question and close the book and walk away and go and do something else, go and work on a different problem, and trust that your subconscious brain is still working on it, because it is. And the idea is then when you come back a couple of days later, and you open up, you read the question out loud to yourself, and it triggers your subconscious brain bringing you the answer. And I've saved hours of lost time since somebody taught me that it's like, okay, I'm not avoiding the problem. But I can't change it with the knowledge I've got right now, or the space that I've got. So actually, what can I do? What can I do instead? Are there any things like that you do that you find have really helped you to create some space to think?
Well, I'd like to say I'm as organized as you, but on my desk, I may have about 10 Post-its that are filled front and back. That's my reminder list or my to-do list. And, I wish I can say I had them color-coded and all neatly together, but no, they're stuck on envelopes. They're stuck on the back of my checkbook. They're stuck everywhere. And so I just kind of, what I like to do daily is I kind of look at all my little checklists. And then what I do is I cross it off, or I put a check mark on it, because that to me lets me know that I accomplished something. And so the thing is there's this famous guy, Navy SEAL guy. I can't think of his name. Oh man, I can't think of it. But I have his book too. Gosh, I can't think of it. He says, wake up every day and make your bed. And by making your bed, you start the day with one accomplishment. And gosh, I wish I can tell you the name of the book. It's at the top of my head, because it's a really good book. He's a Navy SEAL. And again, wake up every day, make your bed. That's the first thing you accomplish. That way you feel that you've accomplished something throughout the day. And that's why I have to write my list down, and I cross my list off. Even something as simple as go to the bank, make a deposit, go pick up your mail from the P.O. box. I write it and I cross it out, because that gives me a sense of accomplishment, that I accomplished something that day. And that also helps me with my self-care, because it reminds me that I am an organized person, because there are often times that my desk is so busy and so much mail, and you feel like you're not an organized person. And I've always been an organized person. So I'm slowly trying to get back to being that person, but it's hard when you got 4 businesses and you're running it all by yourself. So I literally have 4 businesses on my desk, 4 bills on my desk, 4 checkbooks that I have to write. So it's overwhelming. And that's why I have to write these post-its and remind myself that I am organized by checking off. And I always get up, by the way, and make my bed. That's the first thing I accomplish every day, is make my bed.
I love that. I must admit, I do the same. And I think it's Admiral William McCraven.
Yes. Thank you.
Because I say the same. I say, like, to my little girl, who, bless her, she'll do that. She'll do the make the bed, but there's just us here. So we've got those, like, both of us have got a ridiculous amount of cushions that go on the bed. Just take them off the bed later on, Kelvin. It's like, that is their sole purpose in life, is to sit there as something to put on and for us to take off. And I'll be
my
like,
dogs would love staying at your house because they would lay all over your pillows.
she was there and she's like, "Mummy, I've made the bed." I went, "With the cushions?" It's that feeling of, actually, I've accomplished something, I've done something. And also for me, I don't know if the same is for you, that feeling of intentionality. So I kind of, the night before, I've planned what I want to get done the next day. I've planned that I'm going to have the most successful day that's available to me. I'm going to, obviously, you have to roll with the punches when they come, but I'm going to head into it with an intention of positivity. And for me, it's that kind of like first reminder that I said I was going to make today a good day, and I've not fallen at the first post. Yeah. It's like I've chosen to do that. I've factored it in, because it sets me up in a better place for the day, I think.
It does. And I have a ritual as well. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I thank God. I'm not a very religious person, but I believe in God. And so I thank God for the day. I thank God for the many opportunities that may present themselves to me that day. And I just give thanks that I'm an entrepreneur. And then before I go to bed at night, I also say a prayer. And if I forget in the middle of the night, I go, I forgot to say my prayers. And then in the middle of the night, I'm laying in my bed saying my prayers and thanking God that he blessed me with another day, and another day filled with opportunity. And I thank him for the next day ahead of time. And I say, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And I thank you, Lord, for tomorrow in advance. And to me, that's my ritual. And that motivates me. That gets me out of bed. Because as you know, 17 years being an entrepreneur, there are days where you and I both want to stay in bed. There are days when your body hurts and, you have to get up. You have a daughter to take care of. I have employees to take care of. I got my 2 dogs, which of course are not children, but I call them my children. And I have my 2 dogs that depend on me. It's hard. And we have to do whatever we can to motivate ourselves to keep going. And that's my ritual.
Oh, I love that. Me and my little girl, we do our daily gratitude. So first thing in the morning, what are we grateful for? And then last thing at night, what are we grateful for? And we give our thanks also. And I have a couple of little prayers that I say to both, because we have so much to be grateful for. And I have to remind myself of that, in those moments where, as I say to Scarlett, everything in life is a lesson, a blessing, or both. So in the moments where you don't feel blessed, look for the lesson, and the blessing's right there, like wrapped in it is, because it just helps you find that courage to kind of keep going. Kelvin, I cannot believe where the time's flown. I've so enjoyed this. But before we go, can you share with the audience, how do they get in touch with you and who do you help?
Oh, absolutely. So how they get in touch with me is several ways. I have a website with my full name on it. So that's kelvinabrams.com. My businesses are tikisplayhouse.com, k9andcoffee.com, and americanfitnessexpress.com. I'm also on Google, all over the place on Google. So if you just Google Kelvin Abrams, I'm sure you'll be able to find me. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I have a profile on LinkedIn. And the people I'd like to say that I help, or my target market, are future entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs that just started their business, but mainly I would say future entrepreneurs, because I like to say my book hits you hard and it reminds you that, look, hey, you're going to lose out on all of these things. Make sure you know you want to walk down this road. Make sure you know it's more than just handing out your business card, taking vacations on the company and saying, hey, I'm a business owner. It's a lot more than that. And so my book smacks you in the face with reality and lets you know that you're going to miss weddings, your funerals, you're going to miss birthdays, you're going to miss Thanksgiving, holidays with your family. You're going to miss all of that in the namesake of being an entrepreneur. So make sure you know what you're looking for when you decide you want to be an entrepreneur. So that's the best thing I can tell you. And that's the target market that I like to reach, because they need to know before they walk down this road that you and I have embarked on, they better be ready.
I love that. It definitely is not for the faint-hearted. Kelvin, you've been a joy. For anybody that didn't get to scribble all of that down, please don't worry. Just check the show notes below, and all the ways to connect and contact Kelvin are right there. Kelvin, it's been such a delight. I've been so enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for bringing your insight and your experience to the audience.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
And to everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's episode to be as insightful and inspiring as I have. And until next time, take care.